Okay.
Awesome. Good morning. How are you? It's Mel Robbins. I'm the best-selling author of The 5-Second Rule, which, by the way, a new version of it is coming out for the holiday season. I can't wait for you to see it. And I'm also the host of the daytime syndicated talk show, The Mel Robbins Show. If you're curious about The Mel Robbins Show, you can find full episodes on YouTube and watch it. If you like it, just go to our website, melrobbinshow.com, and you can find your local listings by putting your zip code in. And in countries overseas, guess what? We're coming. Australia, I'm looking at you first, but there are other countries that are in queue in terms of the Mel Robbins Show getting syndicated internationally, which is super exciting. This is Coffee Talk. You're in a car with me heading to CBS Broadcast Center, where we're going to be taping today. And I wanted to talk about something that is so important, and that is forgiveness. I got a note from my mother-in-law that a friend of ours died of a heart attack, and his memorial service and funeral is this weekend. And they were very, very, very close friends of my in-laws, and they had been, friends for decades and decades and decades. And in the last couple decades, the father had a falling out with his sons. And it's really sad. I mean, the father had had a drinking problem. He ended up getting sober. There were some issues that obviously had happened. Not everybody lives in anybody else's family, but this is a very common story, isn't it? That somebody's not perfect. They screw up aspects of their life. They then change for the better. And one son in particular would not forgive his father, period. Hadn't seen him in years, wouldn't attend family gatherings, like just a really, really heart-wrenching situation. And my first instinct when I got the text was to ask my mother-in-law, please tell me that they had reconciled before this happened. And the answer was no. And that he's not coming to the funeral either. And I have this quote about, and my reaction to it is, that just sucks. That just sucks. Because when you think about forgiveness is, I love this quote. It's when you forgive somebody, you let a prisoner free, and then you realize that the prisoner was you. Holding on to hatred, resentment, refusing to forgive somebody, that just imprisons you in all that negative behavior. And once the person that you resent so much or hate so much or can't forgive so much, once that person dies, you don't have a chance to do it in person. And it's possible to forgive yourself, but it's a hell of a lot easier when you meet face to face with somebody that you have harbored all this resentment for, and you give yourself the gift of freeing them. You give yourself the gift of forgiving them. You give yourself the gift of letting go of all of that resentment and that rage and that anger. And it's just such a shitty situation. And it's true for so many people. And so if there's someone in your life that you resent, that you hate, that you're enraged with, that did something to you, that you, and I don't know what happened to you, but if there's somebody out there that you still hold this rage for, that you avoid going to family gatherings because of, that you are angry with, that you judge, that you hold it all, because it's all like in you. The message for you today is seek forgiveness. Not for them, for you. And because when you do it, and it's not an easy thing to do, but when you do it, you'll be shocked at how much freer you feel. And you'll be shocked by how much of a prisoner you have been holding on to all this negativity. Do we have any questions, Megan, before I sign off?
Let's see here.
Life is hard. All kinds of shit goes down. That's why kindness, forgiveness, telling the truth is so important.
Well, someone is saying that if you've been abused as a child, that would be someone that you forgive in your mind, but you don't interact with. So
Yeah.
what do you have to say for people who...
I think it's a great you can forgive them in your mind. You can forgive them in a letter, depending upon what your therapist says and where that person is in their life and what counseling and treatment they've seeken and whether or not they've admitted it and whether or not they've been punished for it. I think there are all kinds of circumstances where you really need to protect yourself, but there's example after example of people who have had family members killed. We had a woman on the show who, instead of actually seeking criminal charges against her rapist, she was raped, she went to the police, she had a rape kit done, she went through the system for a year. They went through a preliminary hearing where she was cross-examined for 5 hours. She chose to go through a court-sanctioned program where she met face-to-face with her rapist for 10 hours. And as part of it, he had to admit guilt, he had to go to counseling, he had to accept full responsibility. They brought lawyers, they brought anybody impacted by the crime. It was one of the most unbelievable things I have ever heard somebody talk about in my life. Is it for everybody? Of course not. But I'll tell you what, she was one of the most free people I had ever seen in my life. So you do it on your own terms. Is the ride ended? Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you do it on your own terms, but find a way to do it. Because it's not about, forgiveness doesn't excuse what somebody did. It frees you from the prison that you're in, hating the person for doing it. But again, deeply personal when it comes to those kinds of issues, and you've got to make sure you protect your mental health. And figuring out how to forgive somebody, that will be helpful for your mental health. All right, I gotta go. We're right outside of CBS Broadcast Center. Sorry to leave abruptly. Excellent question. And in case nobody else tells you today, let me be the one to tell you that I love you. And I believe in you. And that's why I'm here doing Coffee Talk, cheering for you. And I can't wait today. Montel Williams, one of my heroes in the talk show world, is coming on. And we're going to talk to veterans that need help. Bye.